Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today, family, gather round. We're going to talk about everything ever.
Every single topic that's ever been introduced, we're going to talk about all of them.
And everything in all of those topics.
Alternatively, what we could do is we talk about the game, Everything Ever.
Yeah.
Which includes the ability within those cards to talk about Everything Ever.
Yeah, we can do that too. Everything Ever is designed by Nathan Thornton and is published by Floodgate Games.
Have you ever had someone in your life that is just knows like a lot of stuff, but they're maybe not good at trivia per se, right? But they just happen to know a lot of stuff. I think they're going to excel at Everything Ever. This is a game that knowing stuff helps, but you don't have to know trivia per se. So what's going to happen is you're going to give a couple categories. You're going to have to list off something from each one of those categories in order to keep on going on your turn. If you can't, you're going to get a penalty. All right, so let me give you a quick overview of how to play. All right, here's our setup for Everything Ever. We have a massive deck of cards here, but what we're going to do is we are going to deal a deck of 3 times the number of players into a little draw deck here. So if we have 10 players, we'd have 30 cards in that draw deck. If we have 4 players, it would just be 12 cards. And then on top of that, we're going to take the top 2 cards of the deck, flip them over to make our starting 2 categories. Every player is also going to get from the large draw deck 3 cards dealt to them that are basically going to be kind of like get-out-of-jail cards that they're going to be able to swap in some categories without taking penalties. All right, so let's say it's my turn, and I'm starting out here. What I need to do is I need to have 10 seconds to come up with a clue that has to do with these 2 categories. So I might say palm tree, and I might say Gouda cheese. The person to my left might say oak tree, and they might say Munster cheese. The next person might say maple tree and brie cheese. But let's say it's their turn and they cannot think of one of these categories. Let's say they could not come up with the answer for a tree. Well, they've got 2 choices. Either they can take a penalty by taking this card and putting it in front of them, or what they can do, in which case the card from the top of the deck would replace that, or they can take one of these cards that they were dealt at the beginning of the game and cover it up and then keep on going with that. So let's say they did this. They could say every Samuel L. Jackson movie. Maybe they say Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, or something like that, and they keep on going from there. But what happens if someone gives an answer that you don't think really qualifies? Well, what you can do is everyone at the beginning of the game is given one of these cards. It's 2-sided. What you can do is you put that on a player, and you can say, you know what, I'll allow it, but watch yourself, counselor, which basically is a warning saying, I don't think you're quite getting the rules of this particular card, or whatever the case is. And then what can happen is that on a future turn, someone else can flip it over and say, you know what, you're just out of order. It's twice now that you've had some kind of a shenanigans answer, so now you're going to take a penalty. So you have to take one of those cards as a penalty, and so that way you're more incentivized to give legitimate clues if you can. Something else cool can happen. If you ever have a couple of words out there, a couple categories, and you are able to make one clue happen that applies to both of them, you're actually going to get a bonus. So this particular one says every fictional spaceship and everything that has a door. So if you were able to come up with one clue for both of those, let's say I said Serenity from the Firefly show that has a door and it's a fictional spaceship. Guess what? I actually get to draw a card into my hand so I have more options to work with later. Or if I've taken a penalty, I can instead choose to get rid of a penalty card that I have. So we're going to keep on going around until this entire deck has dwindled down. At that point, we're going to count up all of our penalty cards, and whoever has the fewest penalty cards is declared the winner.
There is a ton of variety in this game. It's not all just movie trivia or all music stuff. There's just so many different, one of those is how many different Joes or Joseph or Josephina, and so you're just trying to think of all the different Joes and Josephs that people would know, and so it's not just this certain thing. There's just, look at how thick this is, right? That's all cards of all these different varieties, and I just love that there's so many different varieties, because there's definitely going to be a card out there that you're like, heck yeah, I know everything about this one. It's going to come to me twice, but also there's going to be cards out there that you can't think of anything, but it's fine, because if you play with a large group, it's not going to get back to you anyway, because somebody else won't be able to think of something.
I like having the challenge of having 2 cards out there at a time. First of all, it makes your brain kind of split up and work in 2 different ways at the same time. You only have 10 seconds to work with, and so you're like, I've got to think of something in this category, something in this category over here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really, really tough. But at the same time, there's an added bonus. If you're able to come up with a single clue that works for both categories, you're going to get a bonus of some kind. Either get to get rid of a penalty you've already accrued, or take a card to put in your hand that's going to give you some extra options later on in the game. But I loved that having those two categories out there at the same time. It really is a brain twister in a fun way.
Yeah. Sometimes in party games, you can always... There's those people... You know the people I'm talking about, who just are silly, like, and not a fun silly. They're just like a stupid silly when they're playing games, and you're like, no, that doesn't work for this. No, that's not okay. Well, in Everything Ever, you have that card, that out of order card, and so when people just make those absolute ridiculous, oh yeah, this is a thing. Yeah, it is. You can be like, no, I don't think so. That's like, no, absolutely not. So I like that you have a little bit of power to mitigate people like that.
At the same time, there's some games where if you have the ability to call someone out,
that's all you do.
That's all that player does is they're going to be calling out everybody at the same time, and that kind of really bogs things down as well. So I think it's fun that they have to spend that card, put it on someone that they think has made an infraction of some kind, but then they don't get to do anything else until they get their card back. So I think it kind of keeps them in check a little bit. Yeah. Both kinds of players.
Yes.
It's a very smooth system. One card fixes a lot of problems.
Fixes it.
The 10-second rule, we kind of were a little bit loose with it. You know, if someone was kind of in the middle of working through their thought process or whatever, we'd let them keep on going because it's fun. This is about much less about who wins in this kind of scenario and more having fun around the table. That being said, having the 10-second timer was very important for some people. Just like, I know it. Let me give me just a minute here.
Okay,
let me
10.
Let me think about it. No, wait.
9.
No, I can think let me see.
8.
Tina Turner and let me see.
7.
Captain Crunch.
6.
Or whatever it was. So I think that having that timer put a little bit more pressure to keep the game moving. Keep it
so it's not
moving.
stagnant.
But at the same time, we were a little bit looser with it so that way everyone could kind of enjoy hearing all the clues as well.
Yeah. Okay, so sometimes you can take a game and do something that the game did not intend to do. And I did that, and it worked out great. So this actually, when we go on road trips, we're those parents where we just don't want our kids like on a tablet the entire road trip, which oftentimes means we have to engage with our children.
We get to
engage with our children.
The entire drive.
Yes. However, this like really worked out. So I could just grab, and I did, just grab like a handful of these cards. We just played it in the car, just as best we could, going around until somebody got stumped. And then we just got a new card. And it was so nice because sometimes you're trying, like as a parent, you're trying to come up with the ideas of stuff to fill the void. You don't have to, because the card did that for you. You don't have to try to think of a trivia. You don't have to try to think of, we like to play the 21 questions when we're driving. You don't have to think of a thing. You can just the thing's there. It's right there. You already have it. And I know that's not like what the game is for, but I loved how we use the game for that.
Especially, I'm usually the driver, and I usually don't get to participate. If there's a game, it's usually the two in the back seat plus Bethany, and I don't get to participate because I have to be looking at something. Where I could do it all verbally, right? Yeah. And that was a lot of fun for me. It also kind of matches up with the rule book. I know that the rules are the rules, but at the same time, in the rule book it mentions you can kind of do whatever you want with this game. Use it however you want. In fact, it takes you to their website and where it lists a whole bunch of different ways, alternative ways that you can play Everything Ever. Every way ever.
Every way ever for everything ever.
So I liked how they just made a cool system, essentially, that you can kind of modify and morph to whatever your needs are as a family or as a play group.
Yeah.
I think they did a great job of making tons and tons of great categories, like Bethany mentioned. Things are going to appeal to gamers, non-gamers, and the gameplay itself is going to appeal to both gamers and non-gamers. This is just stuff that everyone already knows, right? Yeah. They're just able to recall it under a low-stress environment and just have a lot of fun just kind of talking on the table.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see our videos as they come out. Until then, you can find us in all of these places.
You guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. You guys, thanks so much for watching. This game was provided to us by a publisher in exchange for a fair and honest review.
And if you want to see more stuff, check out over here to see something we think you might like.
And over here, we think that YouTube has picked out a great video for you you're going to love. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.